Some of the leading technology trends. Definitely some of the things that have been mentioned in the previous presentations. I think an explosion in IoT devices. The pandemic has really changed the way that we work, shifting people to working from home, a lot of these different things. But I think, you know, as a transformational leader, you have to look at your corporate culture. And I think these trends are feeding into the changes that are happening in corporate culture around Canada. Most companies that I've been talking to are looking at their real estate footprints and are trying to get to grips with what is the new way of working going to look like when we do come back into the office. And perhaps as much as 50% of the workforce will not be coming back to the office. And those that do won't be coming back to the office full time. And so I think what we did was we probably stretched ourselves as security professionals and IT professionals and got focused on getting people working productively from home. You know, giving them collaboration tools like the cloud and cloud-based call centers and collaboration tools like Teams and Office 365. And that really has distracted us. That's been our main focus. But since then, I think the world around us has changed. And you can see some things emerging in terms of new paradigms coming through in our technology models. The native cloud companies are way off to the races ahead of us on this. And some of the traditional companies coming from a company, retiring from a company that was 174 years old, the first life insurance company in Canada. Some of these larger brand names within Canada have pretty large legacy footprints. And how to deal with those legacy apps in this new cloud-first, always-on, secure, high user experience environments has been a bit of a challenge. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I think those are any emerging technologies, architectures, and ways of working to create a hybrid environment that satisfies these needs are coming to the forefront, and I'm seeing quite a few of those.
Well, it really comes down to a fundamental way we think about cybercrime differently. I think we built technology solutions to stop technology challenges. So we build a firewall, or we build a new product to stop or protect from one attack. Maybe it's riot or ransomware or something like that. I attribute to this sort of catching arrows. We've been able to do that for a while now and make it scale, but we're at the point where it's breaking, and we need to start focusing on the archer and how do we really change the threat landscape from a very tactical perspective to a strategic perspective. And that's going to involve rethinking the economics of how we look at security, because you're not really looking at a cybercrime gang that's one or two people. It's organized crime at a scale, an industrial scale we've never seen before, and it's going to continue to grow exponentially. You have whole ecosystems of cyber criminals building tools for other cyber criminals, selling those on markets where they have feedback mechanisms and whatnot. We're seeing the cybercrime world act to a much extent like the startup world. I often wonder when there will be venture capitalists for cybercrime gangs and whatnot. So we're having to think differently about this scale and the size of the problem, which means in order to solve that, we're going to have to merge not only technology, but also the economics. We're going to have to make it more expensive for them. We're going to have to make it more difficult for them. We're going to have to raise the bar of entry in terms of skills, and focusing on those areas will reap the best return on investment and reduce our chances of being attacked and make us more resilient as organizations. So that's really the fundamental shift I see across our industry right now in terms of cybercrime.
Super question. Thank you for picking up on the corporate culture point. I think it's really, really important. I've spent most of my career being a change agent and a transformational leader. And it's vitally important to understand your corporate culture. It's usually corporate culture, not the technology itself, that can prevent change initiatives from actually moving ahead. When you think about it, you got risk tolerance and competition for resources, company strategy, fiefdom protection, internal politics, and the power plays that go on. They can all get in the way of making the right decision. And so I think reading the collective mood and understanding the business pain points of your organization when you're a change agent are vital to interpreting culture. In my career, I've always really tried to have an outcome-based focus by improving the user or the customer experience and looking at the current financial metrics. And when companies first move into the cloud, with SaaS-based services like Office 365, immediately people notice the difference and they start to ask questions like, why do I need to access non-cloud-based applications through a clunky VPN or multiple sign-ons? And why can't my access be consistent and simple like these cloud SaaS services? So we inadvertently reset service expectations and actually change the culture. So I think purely selling technology benefits is never a good strategy. And demonstrating the benefits and improvements in experience through proof of concepts is a really powerful technique as well. And if you can structure change initiatives that solve multiple problems, then you have a much stronger business case and an increased chance of receiving that funding, especially if you're committing to run rate savings. So when I think about my career, Zscaler and Microsoft have really complementary products and a partnership that offers this opportunity to present initiatives that save money, enhance the user and customer experience, improve cybersecurity, simplify the environment, and lowers those operational costs. And when you can check that many boxes, you have a much, much better chance of navigating through cultural challenges that are inevitably offered.
And I'll say something a little controversial. I don't think there is a talent gap. I really think there's an expectation gap. I think we really focused on what our preconceptions of a cybersecurity professional are. And that's limiting the pool that we're looking at in terms of folks that we're out to hire. We're all competing against each other, on price for the same individuals. Widening our stance and really starting to think differently about, how we're staffing our teams and adding diversity is the key. Give you a great example. I ask CISOs all the time, what's your biggest concern? Ransomware. Who's on your team? Bunch of computer science majors. Wouldn't it be great if you added a criminologist or someone from the legal profession or a psychologist or someone with a different background that can sort of start to think that way? Got asked to do an assessment of some new technologies in social media that I was, at 50, am completely unfamiliar with. The younger folks on my team were familiar with those, could really add a different, insight and input in how those tools could be used. So different backgrounds, in different genders, different, different, I think brings different perspectives. Because if you think about what fundamentally made a great hacker when hacker was still a good word, it was the oddballs. It was those clever, intelligent people. It was the folks that could, think differently and add different perspective. I think we've over pivoted to try and turn our profession into accountants, where we're going to follow a set of generally accepted accounting principles or generally accepted security principles. And I worry that we're losing the innovation and tenacity and the cleverness that really made us hackers that first generation. So how do we professionalize our industry but maintain that soul at the same time? I think that's the big challenge for the future.
Just reflecting on my career, actually, Dave, because I do remember when hacker was a good word. That was a term that Kevin used. Insights as to what's coming ahead. I can see the pandemic, and this was mentioned in the opening presentation. The pandemic has really been an unprecedented game changer. And, when everyone was focused on activating safe remote work and adding new workflow and collaboration tools and thinking about sustainability, the world didn't stop. It actually changed around us. And I think most companies and network engineers and cybersecurity professionals have been charting different courses. And I think in our industry specifically, we've got to start to think a bit differently and try to really sort of project a year or 2 years ahead. And it's very, very difficult in this industry with the amount of change that's going on. But you can see the companies, and we will see the companies. There will be definite winners and losers. In those companies that plan and execute on strategy and really are innovative in the way that they address their corporate culture, the resistance to change. We're all a little bit change fatigued right now. But the ones that bet and bet big will come out of the pandemic stronger than they went in. And I think it really has to show up through some courageous leadership right now. And they're looking at the technologists and the cybersecurity professionals to be business transformation leaders as well. And I think we have a fantastic time to step up and make those changes.